Power Instinct, known as Gouketsuji Ichizoku in Japan, was ATLUS' attempt to enter the fighting game market when it was released in 1993. Although heavily inspired by Street Fighter II, it stood out due to its eccentric cast of characters and unique gameplay mechanics. Since its inception, the series has enlisted the services of Range Murata, a renowned artist known for his work on animes such as Blue Submarine No. 6 and Last Exile. Thanks to its success, Power Instinct was adapted in 1994 for the Super Famicom and Mega Drive, each version featuring specificities that we will briefly discuss in this review. Faced with Super Street Fighter II, released the same year on the Super Famicom, what did it have to offer? The Super NES version introduces new gameplay modes: Versus Battle, Practice Mode, Time Attack, and a Life Attack mode where you have to defeat as many opponents as possible with a single life bar. The Mega Drive version, exclusive to Japan, includes a Battle Royale mode and customization options for special attacks, allowing you to reduce or increase their power. It's worth mentioning that the intro on the Mega Drive is longer than on the Super Famicom. Visually, the arcade version held its own against the competition by offering characters that, while somewhat stereotypical, were depicted with care and detail. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to the backgrounds, which are a bit too bland and sparse for the most part. This Super Famicom conversion is not exempt from criticism, which has reduced the size of the sprites, the number of colors, and frames. As a result, some animations may appear either smooth or choppy, depending on the moves. But it must be admitted that an effort has been made to make them expressive, with special mention for Atane, the iconic character of the series. Compared to the Mega Drive version, the colors on the Super Famicom appear slightly less vibrant, more pastel, but they use a richer range of shades and offer a bit more detail, with a few exceptions like the lightning effects. Contrary to what I've read here and there, the number of frames didn't seem higher on the Mega Drive, or if it was, it's very discreet. However, transitions are faster on the Mega Drive, which is a point of annoyance on the Super Famicom, where it feels like you're experiencing loading times. The soundtrack, which was not particularly memorable in the arcade, focused on the impact of the moves. Unfortunately, the sound effects are much less impactful on the Super Famicom. The music mainly consists of ambient tracks without real melodies. From this perspective, the Mega Drive version seemed more impactful to me, despite having somewhat more digitized voices. And, importantly, the music plays continuously between rounds. The gameplay is based on 4 buttons: Light Punch, Heavy Punch, Light Kick, and Heavy Kick, a configuration similar to that of KOF or Fatal Fury. A notable feature is that each character has a double jump, greatly limiting the abuse of projectiles. Another significant element is the effectiveness of anti-air moves, such as Shoryuken or Somersault, which make aerial attacks very risky, despite the presence of aerial throws. Players are encouraged to adopt lateral approaches, facilitated by the presence of a dash. However, using the dash can be costly in case of a counterattack. This philosophy favors counters or, at the very least, keeping your opponent at a distance, at the expense of direct and reckless offensives like jumping kick, sweep moves. The Mega Drive version seems slightly more dynamic to me than the SNES version. The moves come out a little more easily, and the movement appears faster. But it's not a significant difference. Besides the introduction of the double jump, there's another innovation: the ability to destroy barriers on each side of the combat zone when you hit your opponent strongly. This idea would later be adopted in real bout Fatal Fury. In any case, it's true that the 8 fighters can't hide their generic appearance. From the Shoto to the ninja to the Native American, all the clichés are there. Only Atane, who can temporarily appear younger, brings a bit of freshness to the roster. In any case, the balance and fluidity of the gameplay are remarkable for a 1994 Super Famicom game. While it can't compete with Super Street Fighter II, it offers gameplay enjoyment equivalent to Data East's Fighter's history. It's a second-tier game, but of high quality and still affordable.